Why do you feel the way that you feel, however it is, when you look at this image? Whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's just this deep pain and lament, whether it's frustration, whether it was, oh, here we go. What was it that caused that feeling? And why is it that other people don't feel the same way that you do? And so I think there are three common ways that I hear people answering this question. One is, oh, well, they're just ignorant. They just don't know like I know. I have the right answers and they just don't know the truth. Another answer is, well, all of them think that way. All white people or all black people or all Latinos just think that way about these things, whether it be faith or politics or whatever. They all think that way. Which I don't think we sometimes think about what that really means. Because what does that mean when I say you all think that way? What I'm saying is that you are biologically predisposed to an inferior way of thinking than I am. That's not good. Or the third one is that you are just so conditioned into that way of thinking. You've been brainwashed. Which there's some truth, and we'll talk about it, there's some truth that people have been conditioned into certain systems of thought, but when you want to take that and make that the end-all be-all of why people think that way about something like this, what you do is you ignore the underlying historical and evolutionary nature of systems of thought. They don't just happen, they come about over time based off of your experience. And so there's something more to it. I think culture can illuminate this question of why did I react? Why did I respond the way that I did to this particular image? So let's get into it. And so awareness is very simple. It is just recognizing that there are meaningful cultural differences between groups. And that could be racial groups or ethnicity, that could be nationality, that could be geography, it could be class. It's groups that fall on a number of lines, but it recognizes that there are meaningful cultural differences between me and you. When I go and I try to engage you, this is going to impact me. And so that is broken down into two things. And you could probably break it down into more. I'm just going to break it down into two. Cultural humility and self-awareness. Cultural humility, how do we get it? I think that it starts by recognizing that we all have a culture that has impacted the way that we think, see life, and behave. Ethnocentrism, of course, being what we've talked about. But I think that in order to fully appreciate the diversity of humanity, the beauty of that, and to not be ethnocentric, you have to understand that diversity, both culturally and ethnically, is a part of God's design. Cultural humility starts by recognizing that diversity, is a part of God's design. I think it ends with an appreciation for those differences that exist. It welcomes them, and over time, it begins to learn and grow from the cultural other. So self-awareness is what allows us to see how our culture has shaped the way that we see the world and how that will impact our interactions with people from different cultures. It involves being aware and sensitive to your own cultural heritage. I have a culture. And respecting the differences between your culture and another. See, y'all, this is more challenging than it sounds because the most powerful values in our culture go without being said. They're deeply ingrained. They're operative at a preconscious level. I don't have to say it. I don't have to think it. This just is. It's those things that I don't think twice about. It's just normal. And it's hard to see that. In fact, it is nearly impossible to see that unless you are outside of a homogeneous space where everybody looks and thinks like you do. When we see that image of our president, of a Black Lives Matter rally, of Charlottesville, of people who've been killed, why do we think differently? It actually is deeply connected with culture and how we've been shaped and the experiences that we've had. And it becomes increasingly difficult as we get older to see or understand the perspective of somebody else. And it's almost impossible unless we move beyond homogeneity.